Tyler Zeller knows exactly what championship level Carolina basketball looks like. So the question, does Michael Malone have the Tar Heels headed back in that direction?
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. Great to be together here on this Tuesday. Today, I am joined by national champion Tyler Zeller. He's a lot taller than I am because I'm not even 6 feet tall, and he's got a 7 in front of his height. So there's that. We're going to have a lot of fun on our conversation today. It's been a great summer of trying to figure out the new regime, and that's exactly what Tyler and I are going to talk about. What is it later in the show? How do we get Carolina back to being consistently Carolina level elite again? We're going to look into that. Before we get there, though, is this roster ready to rock? How's Tyler feeling about the front court, the backcourt? Where are the question marks? Where are the certainties? We'll get there. But first, we got to talk Michael Malone because Tyler and I have not talked on the podcast since Coach Malone was hired. Tyler's had the opportunity to be around him a good bit. And so I'm very excited to just hear his insights, both as somebody who is a Tar Heel national champion and as somebody who spent nearly a decade playing in the NBA. So knows both sides of that. And so Tyler gives very valuable insight into that. So Tyler, excited to be together, excited to talk Coach Malone and the Tar Heels, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back. It's been a long summer, but I'm excited for Coach Malone. He was hired really at a terrible time. He was hired the day the portal opened. I mean, the chaos that had to have ensued from that. I went to see him a day or two later, and they were just not scrambling, but they were getting player meetings. They were trying to figure out. He talks about, he goes in, he's got this board of 100, 200 people and every name on the board. And he's like, I don't know most of the kids, to be honest. And so kind of scrambling to catch up. But I think he's done a phenomenal job with it. He went in, he picked the players he wanted from last year's roster. I think he's done a good job bringing back Stevenson, Young, Denis. Denis, I think, is a guy who was undervalued a little bit, didn't get as much opportunity because of the way the roster is constructed. My hope is this year he can show how talented he is. I saw a couple practices where he was explosive in practice as a scout team, the guy who had to shoot the ball every time, and he was able to torch our white team a couple times. And so hopefully he can continue to do that at a high level. Stevenson, hopefully he continues to progress, get better at the 3-point line. And then honestly, he's just the do-it-all guy. I mean, he makes big plays by getting rebounds and just doing the right thing. So I think he did a good job there. And then Coach Malone had to go, and he's been all over the world, not just the U.S., the world. I mean, he's been in Europe, he's been in Turkey, he's been across the United States. He talks about he wants to find high-value older players and elite high school players. And he's doing everything he can to find those type players. And I think he's put together a very good roster. And, predominantly Terrence Brown, Matt Abel, and Neo, who is, I think those three are going to drive the ship. And then we got a lot of other pieces that we just got to see how they fit together.
That's the key. Yes. Excited to see that. By the way, a plug for Isaiah Denis, who you just mentioned. Tomorrow's show is our Isaiah Denis player preview summer series episode. So make sure to tune in.
And I didn't know that, so you're welcome.
Let's go. You're just out here making segues for me, and you're the man. I love it. Yeah. So, Tyler, let's go back to that crazy day. As you said, the day the portal opened. I know Coach Malone is looking forward to next offseason when he can actually have a legit cycle. But when Coach Malone was hired back on April 6th, I'd love to get your initial gut reaction to that hire. And has anything changed, good or bad, since that initial reaction for you?
I think Coach Malone, as a season last year, we had ups and downs. We were coming back from California, and we're like, all right, we had a really bad trip out there. Kind of thrown out like, oh, who would you wish to be there? And we'd name coaches, and we name this. We're like, the dark horse is Mike Malone. Like, his daughter plays on the volleyball team, and so we kind of had this. And I think Hansbrough did it on a couple of his podcasts. But we all talked about him as a guy, but it was kind of one of those hopes and dreams rather than reality. And, he said no initially because his daughter was here, and he didn't know she wanted him here because she had gone across country, which is fair. And, and so I think it took some time for him to come around and be okay with it. I think Coach Williams did a really good job of recruiting him. kind of went to his house, talked to him. And I think the hire was great. Like I said, he got hired like Sunday, Monday, and then portal opened midnight at Monday. And he's like, I met the team at Monday afternoon. I did my press conference, went and got, saw the board. And he's like, I was up all night. And I think one of the things that I always talk about is every time I go into the offices or anywhere, like they're going 100 miles an hour, even still today. And like, this guy's going here and this guy's doing this and they're trying to get this and get ready for the season and get this recruit. And it's just great to see the almost chaos. It's organized chaos. And they got these guys working out. They've expanded their staff to be able to have more people on staff. So I think Coach Malone has done a really good job of, he knows what he's really good at and he knows what his assistant coaches are really good at. And he allows those guys to be able to take a little onus in that category.
You mentioned Roy Williams in there, Tyler, who obviously you played for and understand and know very well. There's this weird thing with Coach Malone where it's a well-traveled story, obviously, outside of his daughter Bridget playing volleyball. Not much of a real connection to Carolina other than his dad being a Dean Smith aficionado when he was growing up. But like in your mind, how important is it for Coach Malone to be able to embrace Carolina history, become grafted in, adopted into the family without trying to recreate a Dean Smith, without trying to recreate Roy Williams? How important is that?
I think it's huge. Anybody who hasn't heard his press conference, it's worth going back to listen to because he brings up that point a lot. He's like, I am not a Carolina person. I'm not a graduate, but he goes, I love Carolina. And he's like, and I want Carolina to continue to be Carolina. And he's done a great job of embracing the past players. We actually have a player reunion coming up, former player reunion coming up in a couple weeks or a few weeks.
The ETSU game, is that correct? Do I remember that correctly?
Could be. Sadly, I don't know. It's on my calendar,
I think
right.
It is. I was just talking with somebody else yesterday and they mentioned that.
That sounds right. But he's a big part of that. He's like, I want these guys back. I want these guys around the program. And I think it's huge to be able to have that camaraderie and say, hey, I want you guys to come back and be a part of this. And I think he's a guy who's so secure in what he does and what he wants to do that he's like, hey, I want you to come back and help. And he's like, I'm really good at this and you guys can help me with some of this other stuff. And so I'm really excited. I think he fits everything so well. And obviously it's easy to say, he said this before, it's easy to talk about how good he is because we haven't lost any games or haven't played any games yet.
That's true.
And we definitely haven't lost any games. And so I think he's going to do a great job at elevating people and players and continue to make us better. But he's got a tall task too. I mean, we've had a couple up and down years and I think he's put together a roster that has a chance to being very good at least. And if we can get them to play all together, I think we can be great and have a season that we're used to.
I mentioned this earlier, Tyler, but you played obviously for Coach Williams, spent the better part of a decade in the NBA. And so you know both sides of this, what it takes to handle collegiate athletes well and NBA players well. What is something you think about his time coaching in the NBA that will translate well to Chapel Hill and maybe something that might not translate as much as he might think?
Well, I think player development's a big thing that he's always been good at. You look at the guys in Denver, he's got a lot of guys who obviously Jokic is Jokic and Jamal Murray is Jamal Murray, like those guys. But he has a lot of guys below that, Michael Porter Jr. He's got all these guys, Christian Braun, who's progressed under him and they've gotten better and they've reached either elite or just below elite level. And so I think he's shown in the NBA he can develop those players and allow guys to show what they're capable of. And so I think he's going to continue to build, continue to progress. And that development piece of bringing in other guys to help develop guys is huge too. And I don't know if this is something he's going to struggle with. It's just something new to him. NBA is GM handles the roster and you kind of, here's who you got as a coach. And I don't know how involved he was in that in Denver of, the roster construction, all that, but now he is very much in charge of that. And this is who you get, this is who you want. This is who, and he has to be able to navigate all that. I think he's done a good job, but at the same time, it's completely new to him. And so I think what he's done this summer is he came in with a plan, and there's a very defined plan. I want this, 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 and this in each position, and he's going to go through this season. And if this works, great, we're going to do it again. If this doesn't work, all right, let's pick this piece out. Let's put this in because it didn't work. And I think that's just going to allow him to grow year over year and just continue to get better and better.
I absolutely love that. Well, I'd love to look at all those pieces. You mentioned some of the roster and personnel earlier. Carolina has gone out and gotten a bunch of very tall men who also happen to be pretty good at basketball. And Tyler is uniquely positioned to be able to discuss them because he is that himself. We'll look at that and the rest of the roster coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Kalshi. Look, before the season even kicks off, everyone's out here making predictions. Who wins the division? Who makes the playoffs? Who's lifting the trophy at season's end? Well, on Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade those predictions in a live market. Something I love at Kalshi, they've already got win totals up for Carolina basketball this season. You can pick 15 plus, 18 plus, 21, 24, 27. And then you just pick yes or no on which you think is going to happen. You think Carolina can get more than 18 wins? Hit yes. If you think they're going to fall short of that, you hit no. Go check it out right now on Kalshi, where you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can trade in and out of your position. Trade the draft pick, the game, and more at Kalshi. Use code LOCKEDON to get up to $500 in bonus credits when you trade 25. KALSHI Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. We've already talked about the roster a little bit, but I want to dive more into it now. And Tyler, as I've said, you're 7 feet tall, so I'm now contractually obligated to start with the big guys in the front court. When you look at the makeup of this front court, which is finally now finalized, as we talk, let's continue to timestamp this thing. It seems that Cameron Fens is eligible today, right now. And you and I actually texted a bit about this over the weekend, trying to make sense of it all. Ooh. But when, right? So Tyler, when you look at the shape of this front court, which now seems to have a little bit more variety, a little bit more depth, what stands out to you?
I think the variety, like you said, the wideness of what we have. I think Fens fits a lot in size. We're going to have a big we're going to run into, just big and bulky, and you got to be able to fight him. You know, I think Keita is extremely talented. He's 17, so his ability to rebound and block shots is, I think, elite. It's hard to compare Europe to here, and we're still trying to figure all that out. But I think he's extremely talented. I think his length in the Euro ball has been on display, and I'm excited for him to come play over here. And he's been able to handle big bigs over there. Historically, inside can be very physical in Euro ball, so I'm hopeful that over here he can handle that and play well. If he doesn't, that's where Fens comes in, because he can come in, he can beat him up. And I know when I was playing my junior year, we had a guy named Justin Knox who came in, and he was a brute, and he could go fight him. And when he came in, I knew I was coming back into somebody who was going to be more tired because they were just fighting him. And I think that's where Fens can come in. He can help Keita by just trying to wear out their bigs and not let him have a break when he's out of the game. Samodurov, I haven't seen him play a lot. He's supposed to be talented, be able to get out on the floor. Bennerman, who I think is serviceable. He's over the summer, he's been able to block shots, rebound. He has not had other bigs to play against, so I haven't seen him against our other bigs yet. But able to finish at the rim. Our three guards are so talented that sometimes all you got to do is stand there, catch the ball, and dunk it. And if you're in the right place, right time, that's all you got to do. And Fens has shown he was very good at that at South Dakota. Obviously, South Dakota versus Carolina, different levels, but he seemed to be good at catching lobs, getting to the rim, setting picks, rebounding, which kind of fits it all. And so I'm excited to see him with our team a step up and see where he fits in and all that. Long story short, we have a lot of questions at the 5, but we also have the ability to rotate a lot of people in. I think we're going to see times, especially at the beginning of the year, where, say Keita starts, Fens plays most minutes because Keita struggled, or Keita comes in, crushes it, and he plays most of the game. And we're just going to rotate guys in and out. Being 17, we're going to have some guys get in foul trouble and not be able to play as much as they want to in some games. So being able to have that depth is really, really important.
Tyler, you talked in the last segment about the guard rotation, that trio, and I'm right with you. I fully expect, regardless of what position it is, Terrence Brown, Matt Abel, and Avdalas to be the starting 3 at the 2 backcourt spots in the wing. So whether it's them or any of these front court guys, if the Tar Heels are going to be significantly better than people nationally expect, because I think people don't think much of this Carolina
Yeah.
roster outside of Chapel Hill right now. And I get it. New coach, new roster, it makes sense. But if they are going to be significantly better, who's the player we're going to be talking about in March as the reason why?
One of those three. I don't know which one. I think you got to have, I think where I say we're going to have a very good year, if those three come in, they're both three individually great players. They can score the ball. They can do what they need to getting downhill or make shots. And, Matt Abel has showed us against us last year. He can make a lot of shots in a hurry. Terrence Brown, same thing. He can score 20 points. He averaged 20 points last year. He can score 30 points at times. Neo is able to come in and he can get downhill. And actually this summer, I felt like he passed a lot, which was really good. But sometimes he's 6'7", 6'8", whatever he is, he's able to get to the rim and finish. And so I think having those bigs on the weak side to be able to put it back when somebody comes across. But I think those three individually, we have a very good season. If they learn to play together and play off of each other and contribute to each other, all of a sudden defenses are rotating as Neo tries to get downhill or Terrence gets downhill. And as those guys are coming downhill, they got to come over and rotate. The bigs get dunks, get layups. We hit open threes. I think that's when we become a elite team. And so we got to be able to find a way to move the ball. Coach Malone's known for that. Part of the NBA is, hey, here's 15 guys, figure out how it works. And he's been very good and very successful at that. So I have good faith he can do it. Now it comes down to the players and whether they're willing to adapt to what he needs.
And I know, like, you've seen some of them this summer, some guys less so, like Samodurov, for example. Obviously, Kaida's just getting there. As you said, you've been gone away. But from what we know right now in late August, let's take 15 guys, as you said, and pare it down to 5. And I'm not even asking you for like a starting 5. Tyler, what I want to say is, if you had to pick 5 guys that you would trust right now to finish after the final media timeout and on in Cameron, for, one possession game, who would you take right now as those 5 guys?
Terrence Brown, Matt Abel, Neo, Stevenson at the 4, and whatever big is playing best that night. I'm not going to commit to a big because honestly, like I said, there may be 3 bigs playing most first halves against teams. It might only be 2. I don't know. It depends how it all plays out. But I think whoever's playing the best deserves minutes in those last minutes. And that 5 spot's going to be the one that's, whoever's hot tonight gets those minutes instead of, hey, this is our guy. Because I think my hope is Caida gets there by the end of the year and it's like, all right, he's our guy. He's the best. He's had a really good chance. But I don't know that he's there yet. And that's to be seen. And like I said, I haven't seen him in person, so I can't speak to that. But being 17, there's going to be nights he struggles. There's other nights he might be the guy. And you put him in there and let him do his thing.
And what's interesting, I don't even need to hold your feet to the fire on that answer at the 5, because that makes sense. It's like the other 4 of those entities, those other 4 players, I feel like we have a good idea or semblance about what they will contribute. And you really can play mix and match as needed, opponent dependent, or as you said, based on how they're achieving on any given game. So I actually kind of really like that answer instead of you saying, oh, definitively or whatever. So that makes a ton of sense.
And I think there's also a chance, we got a lot of other guys on the roster. If somebody else starts playing really well, you can slide Stevenson to the 5, Neo to the 4, and put somebody else to the 3. It's not a lineup I love, especially if they got a big inside. But if the teams are going to try to go small against us, we have the ability to go small. Stevenson's shown he can block out. He doesn't like guarding post-up players, but he can guard guys on the perimeter. He can bang a little bit and keep guys off the board. So we have that ability. I think we have enough bigs that we won't see that a lot. But I think there is that chance of 1 or 2 possessions late, hey, match up, take away 3-point line. We can slide to that positioning.
Man, yeah, there does seem to be a lot of potential versatility with this roster. I'm very curious to see how Coach Malone and the staff are able to suss that out and figure how it all comes in. Like, and I hope, let me just say this now for fans, like, as you watch the early season games, like, don't get all in a tizzy. Let's think back to the Coach Williams era where he's tinkering and trying to figure out who can I put Big Z with and who can I right? Like, you got to figure all that out. And so there's going to be some guess and check with that early in the season. So patience, I think, is what
part of what I love about this roster construction is we have 3 great players, and then we are 8 to 11 deep. Like, in any given night, you may see 10, 11, 12 guys play, And just to, like you said, just to tinker, like, all right, hey, Isaiah Denis, you've been good in practice. Go play a few minutes, see if you can do it in the game. And if you do it, you get more minutes. If you don't, you don't. And I think that's going to continue to progress over the season. But I love the versatility, and so is not having a good night. Let's throw in whoever it might be. And it just allows that flexibility through the year.
Makes a ton of sense. All right. Tyler mentioned it earlier, but there's been some up and down seasons for the Tar Heels from the end of Coach Williams' era up through the end of Coach Davis's era. Basically, the 2020s have been a bit of a roller coaster. How can we get this Tar Heel program back to being consistently annually elite? I want to get Tyler's take on that in just a second. Right after I tell you about Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never intended to actually work together. You got one app for accounting, one for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of these actually even talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. It's an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of just managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working together toward one common goal. That's what Tyler and I are talking about with the Tar Heels today. It's not just about Coach Malone. It's not just about Terrence Brown. It's about the sum of the parts being greater than the individuals. That's what they're trying to do. And when you can get the entire organization moving in that one direction, that's what makes it win. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. Tyler, you played for one of the great historic programs in all of college basketball, widely recognized as one of the blue bloods. But whether it's your home state, Indiana Hoosiers, or UCLA, there were programs that wind up where everybody's like, are they still a blue blood? We don't want to see that happen for the Tar Heels. And admittedly, the 2020s have not been the consistency of what we typically expect from the Tar Heels, whether it was that crazy run from like your freshman year through like 2012, whether it was, the beginning of Coach Williams' era, some of the Coach Smith, like Carolina's had some strong years in the 2020s, but it hasn't been consistently elite and great. In your mind, what has to change? And is it even possible in this transfer portal era to have a consistently great program?
Yeah, I think it's possible to have. I mean, Duke's shown it. They are consistently good. They've done a great job. I think we have the ability to get there. I think one, you got to get guys who want to be at Carolina, which I think Coach Malone's talked about extensively from things I've heard him talk about, and just talking about they have to want to be here. They have to understand that Carolina is elite. They have to understand that something extra has to be put in to be here and play here. And I think he's done a good job of getting kids who want to do that. And so, but I think it goes back to play hard, play smart, play together. Carolina way. If you can play hard, you play together, everything is so much easier and better for everybody. And Coach Williams used to have a saying that when nobody cares who wins, everyone benefits or gets rewards for it. And I think that's the philosophy you have to go into every day with. And but I think secondly, Coach Malone always talks about, he goes, we have to defend and rebound. He goes, everything else we can figure out. And I think he's an elite offensive coach. He's got some great draw ups. He's got some great set plays, but he's done a good job. And we are long. We're athletic. We're going to fill a lot of gaps. I think we're going to be able to make it really difficult. We got some bigs who can block some shots at the rim, guards that are fast enough to get into guys. It'll be interesting, the dynamic. I know he wants to play fast. We're not going to be a half court team. He wants to get out in transition. I think he's going to call some plays when somebody scores and you got to walk it up the court. But I don't think he's going to be asking for anybody to bring it out other than selectively throughout the game. He wants guys to get into it and flow and be able to pass the ball around and play together. And so I think that's going to benefit this team well, but also got to get back on defense, defend at a high level, keep guys out of the paint, take away the 3-point line. And I think we have a great chance of getting back to being elite. And I think you also got to be able to put away teams. I think one thing that we saw is you have these teams, you get up by 15 or 20 and you let them back in the game. And that's natural flow of, the NBA games all the time. You're up 20, there's a good chance to come back. But you got to find a way to get these college players to understand, hey, 20's not over. Like the game's over when we're up by 25 or 30, or just continue to push it out, play it at a high level. And then you come down and sit for the last 3 to 5 minutes or whatever it is that you're up far enough that the game is over. And so, and then the guys coming off the bench got to have the same philosophy. They got to be able to come in. But I think the depth we have the ability to be elite. We're going to need to be able to play 8 to 12 deep and be able to have guys come off the bench and not have a huge drop off. So I think that's the philosophy of what we have to do. Now it's a question of, can we get there and do it?
Yeah. And I haven't heard Coach Malone directly say play hard, play smart, play together, but I've heard him say very close variations of that. I'm like, you know what I mean? It's just right there. And, and hearing him talk about it, the things you just said, I love the speed, the pace, the Coach Williams acolytes who kind of, I know Coach Davis talked about wanting to play fast, but it was just never the tempo of a Coach Williams marked team. So I'll be curious to see that. But I think the thing that I continually hear is defense. And I think that will be a hallmark of these Coach Malone era Tar Heels that I'm very interested to see. So Tyler, my question to you is, wins and losses aside in year one, and hopefully a lot of wins.
Yeah.
But even taking that away, what would you need to see this season to walk away believing, yep, Michael Malone's the right guy and Carolina is on its way back to being a perennial national championship level program?
So for a coach, I think one of the things I always look at are end of game situations. How do you manage the end of the game? Because a coach has a lot of influence over timeouts, plays called, situations. Like, sure, you might miss the game-winning shot, but was the play run right? Did it go to the right place? Did the shot that we wanted, did we get that? Now, the shot doesn't always go in, and you can live with that. I think what I always look at for that is, how do you manage that? Are your players disciplined? Are they doing what you're supposed to down the stretch? And then for me, overall for the season, I think one of the things I always look at is, how do we play? Are we playing hard? Is the offense look fluid? Does it look stagnant and we're ISO ball? Or are we doing what we need to continue to progress and get better and better over the course of the season? Because game one's we don't play high level in game one. Preseason, we play some high level games, but game one, hopefully we win by a lot, but it's also not going to be the prettiest game of the year. Do you continue to progress through February, continue to get better, have more rhythm in February, going into March, and then progress from there? And hopefully you go into the tournament with a lot of momentum. Obviously, I think for me, I would love to see us get to Elite Eight or beyond. But at the same time, if you come up and, have a bad game somewhere and you're like, all right, we were playing great and we just had a bad game, that happens. I mean, It's basketball. It's part of the NCAA tournament. You got to put 6 great games together. But I think over the course of the season, do we get better? Do guys play to get better together? Are they more fluid in a team and growing? Because if you do that, you can sell, all right, look at all these guys that got better this year. Now let's go recruit some more and make them better and make our team better.
All right. We're going to see what happens, Tyler. It's crazy. It's coming. It's not that far away. Yes, football starts Saturday, but now with all these preseason games, 3 of them allowed, we're going to get to see the Tar Heels in action multiple times. We'll see if there's a blue-white game that's not been announced, and we'll have to look at that. Tyler, if you know that, don't give anything away because there's no – so I should have warned you that I was about to say that.
No, I'm excited for the Indiana game. I think, we're both very – well, for one, I'm from Indiana, so I'm excited to go back. But I think we're both very similar. I think we're both they're trying to get elite. They spent a lot of money on their roster and our first year, and we put together a roster. And it'll be interesting, just a first look at probably 2 sloppy teams because that's just that time of year. But be interesting to see how we match up against a team that is supposedly supposed to be an elite top 25 team.
And it's not that far away, just about a month till those preseason games start with USC and Indiana and Charlotte. A little Wes Miller action.
That's right.
I'm excited for that one. That's going to be great. All right, you guys, big thanks to our guy Tyler for being here with us. We'll have to do it again as we get closer into the fall and the games picking up, of course, with all of Tyler's great insights. And in fact, hopefully by that point, he will have been able to see more of the bigs in action now that the entire roster is actually in Chapel Hill, and that'll be great. If you haven't subscribed to the show on video and audio, do it now so you don't miss a second of Locked On Tar Heels. If you haven't joined our Locked On Tar Heels Discord, we'd love to see you in there. That link's in the show notes. And if you want to join the Locked On Tar Heels Everydayer Club, where you get ad-free audio versions of the show and free free access to my Locked on Tar Heels Insiders Google Drive, where I've got all my stats, charts, record book, all of that is in there, free access to you. Check it out right now. Let's get out of here the way we always do. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, Isaiah Denis preview episode. But until then, peace.